tell me about your new documentary that you have coming out?
My new documentary, I was afforded the opportunity to take on this project, to go to the Gambia, West Africa, and sit with the family of Kunteh Kinteh that still lives in the Gambia, in Jufre, and interview them, let them retell the story of Kunteh Kinteh, as well as witness the renaming of James Island to Kunteh Kinteh Island.
That's very interesting. How did you come up with the idea to do this project?
Actually, it's an independent project. I was brought into the project to provide music. I'm a composer, and when I went to the first meeting, I was telling the gentlemen that were putting this documentary together that, you know, maybe you should try it from a different perspective, and they were like, well, maybe you should direct it. And I was like, well, I don't, okay. So I just kind of took it on, the project on, and was fortunate enough to actually sit in the executive producer seat and finance the film myself as well.
So this is a new direction for you.
Completely. I've provided music for all of Tyler Perry's properties, from the very first stage play, all of his stage plays, TV shows, and several of the films. So I've been in the filmmaking business, but on a musical side, but now I've stepped on the other side, you know, and it's pretty rewarding.
And how are you making the transition to becoming a director?
You know, the fortunate thing about it is when you finance it yourself, you can make your own mistakes and no one will holler at you. So you holler at yourself. So it's been a learning curve for me. But like I said, you know, I've sat with Tyler and watched him produce movies and plays and TV shows. And so I've become a product of my environment. So I think when I had this opportunity to make this film, you know, it came relatively easy just because I had already been in that particular environment. So.
And what do you want people to take from the documentary? What message?
The message that this film provides is pride. You know, we produced this film so that it would be non-threatening to any audience. You know, I remember in the 70s when Roots premiered, it was very threatening because, you know, we all went to school ready to fight the other ethnicities, or, you know, the white man, and we were just so upset and mad that we learned this story. You know, well, this is telling the story from a different perspective where all audiences can watch. You know, again, it's retelling the story of Kunteh Kinteh. It's a very pride film. You know, the African male can look at himself, African American male can look at himself with pride, you know, and not become bitter, but become empowered.
And how important is it to tell stories like this, to tell our stories, to tell stories of history? I know you being a filmmaker and being around in the industry, how important is that?
It's very important because, you know, we need to know who we are as a people. And if we know who we are, we know where we're going. It kind of steers the way you look at things, you know. We have all of these different programs that's coming on TV now that shows our heritage bickering and fighting against each other. You know, we want to show how we were forced to fight for just our lives, you know. And so I just want to present ourselves in a more positive historical perspective.